You are Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Phins fans? Welcome to another episode of your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and I am going to tell you what, man, there's not a lot of positives to look at. There's not much good to say tonight as your Miami Dolphins have really struggled in this game. 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter, 30-12, Tennessee with the lead now. And, oh, baby, we got to change the title. That's the kind of night it's been for Miami, and we will see what happens here as the Titans just scored again. Unbelievable when you think about this game, and we will keep you posted throughout the show, let you know what happened in this game tonight. And, you know, just an unbelievable finish to this game tonight. And they score again, and then Miami with a safety, Tennessee with another touchdown. And, you know, I mean, it's more than one touchdown now for Tennessee. So a couple of graphics need to be changed. But, you know, just it's just one of those nights. Pollard with a 4-yard touchdown to add to it for Tennessee. It's now 31-12. The Titans beating the Dolphins like a drum on Monday Night Football and Miami, and just a terrible, terrible game for the Dolphins overall. Your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST beginning right now on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and just a bad, bad night for your Miami Dolphins. And I want to say right now, thank you for making Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST your first listen or watch every day. We're free, available wherever you get your podcasts, right? That means Apple Podcasts, that means Spotify, that means iHeart, that means Stitcher, you know what I'm saying? Wherever you get your podcasts, we are free. Plus here on YouTube, Locked On Sports Miami, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you need to be a big-time fan. You need to be a really good fan to be a Dolphins fan right now. It's been just a miserably disappointing start to this season. Just an awful beginning for your Miami Dolphins, no doubt about it. But real quick, a couple of housekeeping things we need to do. I don't know how to call it housekeeping. It's really silly. But I'll say this. We're here after every Dolphins game with your Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST. Yeah, they have 3 in a row coming up on the road. They're 1-3 right now. Slip sliding away this season that started with so many big expectations and so much, I mean, just optimism, right? You got to love it live, right? Live. I want to hear it live. So what I'm saying is so many expectations coming into the season, and it has been a disaster. Tonight's episode of Locked On Dolphins POSTCAST is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. It's that simple. Use the code Locked On NFL. Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. What time is it? Somebody should have told Dolphins this before kickoff. What time is it? Game time. And I don't care who your quarterback is. Let me just start right now. I'm just going in. I'm going in from the jump because I don't care who your quarterback is. I don't care if it's Tua Tagovailoa. I don't care if it's Skylar. I don't care who it is. I don't care. Tyler Huntley's been here 2 weeks. He actually looks like he can make throws. He's going to be the guy, right? Unless Tua comes back, and then who knows? Tom Brady lives in Miami. But I don't care who your quarterback is. You have got to figure out and find a way to get the ball in the hands of your weapons. You have no running game at all tonight. Obviously, a million men in the box, and you're obviously going to not have much of a chance to run, and you're going to make Tyler Huntley beat you if you're Tennessee. And that's what they did all night long. They were pressuring him in his face and didn't really send the farm after him. They're just playing a run all night long. And you know what I mean? It's just Achan's not going to beat us. That's the way it is. Most are still so. They could not do anything offensively tonight, Miami. They just could not get the ball in the end zone. They couldn't move the ball up and down the field. Into the second half, they had hardly anything going numbers-wise, offensively. Offensive, right? You see that, right? Tyler hunted, offensive, weapons. Weapons, where are the weapons? Where are the weapons? It's kind of like George Bush. Where are those weapons of mass destruction? Well, where are the Dolphins' weapons of mass destruction? Just like Iraq, they're nowhere to be found. They are nowhere to be found. Where are these weapons of mass destruction we heard about all offseason? Where's Jalen Waddle? Where's Tyreek Hill? At least they tried to get them the ball a little bit more tonight. Huntley missing Tyreek Hill a couple of times deep and another time down the sideline. Waddle with a couple of big ones. Had a big drop tonight, too. They're trying those middle crossing routes, which they're so successful with, which Tua has lit up teams with in the past. And they're just not getting the job done. It's really scary to think that they just cannot get the ball to their playmakers. They're just not I don't care like I said, I don't care who your quarterback is. You still have to find a way to get the ball to your playmakers. Why are they not getting the ball? I mean, this is really, I mean, look, Frank Smith and Mike McDaniel and everybody talks about what a genius he is. Where is the ball going? Why is it not getting to their weapons? This is really disturbing when you think about it. This is a tough situation for Miami to be in. They were awful tonight in this game from the start. From the minute this game began, they just were terrible. Absolutely terrible, man. I mean, they got the interception on defense to start the game. And, I mean, that's nice. And Jason Sanders is their MVP tonight. That is, I mean, it just is terrible. It's terrible. And, Agba with the interception on the opening drive. And you're thinking, all right, it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good night. We're going to win this game with defense. We're going to win this game. And here it is, 4 plays later, right after the interception. You start the game with an interception. What do you do right after? You fumble the damn football away. He fumbles at the Tennessee 40-yard line. Just unbelievable, right? Just unbelievable. And he's been there 2 weeks, so you got to give him a little bit of a pass. Defense hold him to a punt. Dolphins punt. Tennessee kicks a field goal. You know what I mean? It's 3-0, then it's 6-0, then it's 6-3. You know what I mean? And it's 9-3, and it's a field goal fest at halftime. 9-3 Tennessee. And at halftime, Miami's offensive stats were non-existent. They were miserable in this game offensively. They get the ball to start the second half. 3 plays, 1 yard, punt it away. Tennessee punts. Miami gets a field goal on the next drive. 5 plays, 10 yards. You know what I mean? And the Titans went -3 yards on their drive. And then Braxton Berrios with a 27-yard return. You're looking like that could be a big play. He was 1 tackler away from breaking it. And at the time, it's 9-3. 9-3. They end up with a field goal. You know what I mean? And it makes it 9-6. So you're at a 3-point game. And at that point, you're like, all right, it's not bad. It's all right. It's 9:02 in the third quarter. Things are going our way. It's starting to happen. We're on our home field. But no, right after that, Tennessee gets the ball back, and then the 41-yard run from Tony Pollard, the touchdown from 7 yards out, the direct snap and the Wildcat to Spears, and that was pretty much it. You knew at that point the Miami offense was not coming back from that. They are not coming back from that, and then, it's 16-6. Titans next drive, 6 plays, 11 yards, and they kick the field goal, and, it just really is. They get a 15-yard punt return. Tennessee gets the field goal. It's 19-6. Miami, 4 plays, 8 yards, turnover on downs. Tennessee with another field goal. It's 22-6. Hey, Miami goes 11 plays, 70 yards, scores a touchdown. Only problem is it took 7:09, and they missed the 2-pointer badly. It was intercepted, but Miami did score, and you got to give him that. I mean, it took forever, and Huntley ran it in, and you can't really blame him at all for this game. And I don't care who the quarterback has been. I started the show by saying this. It has been Tua, it has been Thompson, and it has been now Huntley. Okay? None of these guys are getting it done. It's not just the quarterback. It's the system. It's the scheme. It's the play calls. Reek, Waddle, those guys not getting the ball. Achane, who had been good this year, the running game non-existent. The Titans have a terrible run defense. And Miami could not take advantage of that at all tonight. Absolutely just awful. And then it's 22-12 after that. 3 and out. You get the 3 and out, but then you get hit with the safety. You know what I mean? It's intentional grounding out of the end zone. It's a safety. Right after that, Tennessee gets the touchdown. Boom. 31-12 as Pollard scores from 4 yards out. And man, just a bad game for the Miami Dolphins all the way across the board. Tonight, Locked On Dolphins postcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. It's been horrible this year for the Dolphins, right? All year, we've been waiting for this offense to get untracked. And everybody likes to take the easy way out. Easy target, low-hanging fruit, right? Blame the quarterback. Huntley's been here 2 weeks. No. Where's the offensive genius? Where is he? Where's Tyreek Hill? You might need an APB at this point. On the Cheetah. At least they tried to get him the ball tonight. At least they tried. And look, I don't care. Again, I don't care who your quarterback is. You can sit there all night long and tell me these quarterbacks can't get him the ball. I'm not buying it. I'm not using that as an excuse because they were losing 31-10 to the Bills. And the reason your quarterback is on the sideline with a possible career-threatening concussion is because that offense was so listless. That offense was so bad. There was no passion. There was no energy. There was no drive. There was no nothing from that offense in that game. So in spite of the fact that he already had picked up the first down, Tua Tagovailoa does his best to fire up his football team. Tua Tagovailoa does his best to get the crowd back in the game somehow. Tua Tagovailoa does everything he can to try to make a play for his team. And now he's out because he knew at that moment there was no energy. There was nothing. They got nothing up front. The playmakers are doing jack squat. What is going on here in Miami? We have a problem. We need to talk about this on the other side. What's going on with this offense? Why can't they get anything going? Seattle last week, you blame the 12th man. It's the quarterback. It's Skylar. No, it's not. This is the NFL. It's the National Football League. It's the National Football League. Anybody you put in there is a professional. This is one of the best of the best. They need to be able to deliver the ball to your playmakers, and it is not happening. We're going to look into that a little bit more on the other side. Locked On Dolphins postcast 31-12, the final. Tennessee stinks. They were 0-3 coming in. Terrible team comes into your stadium and mops the floor with you in this game tonight. Every single Dolphins player needs to be called out. Every single Dolphins player needs to take accountability. Every single Dolphins player should hide their face in shame on the way home tonight. I wouldn't even take my kid to school tomorrow. Locked On Dolphins postcast rolling on right after these words. Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease at Jim Grease _. Let's hear from you in the chat, in the comments. Let me know what you think. Of course, subscribe, ring the bell, let us know, and we'll let you know, right? You follow us. We'll let you know when we come out with new content. Locked On Dolphins postcast rolling on. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And I get a chance to tell you about my friends at Game Time. What time is it? Again, somebody should have went in the locker room before this contest tonight and said, hey, Dolphins, what time is it? Game time. Hey, Dolphins offensive line, what time is it? Game time. You were manhandled by an 0-3 team. You should be embarrassed with the way you played tonight if you're a Miami Dolphins offensive lineman. You should be humiliated with the way you've played this year if you're a Dolphins offensive lineman. You should be flat out ashamed of the way that you've played this year. All right, it's game time, right? I love going to live events, even this game tonight. I mean, you're still at an NFL game, right? But at the end of the day, Game Time is unbelievable. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for your favorite events that much easier. All you have to do is let them know what you want. They filter out the fluff, show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time. And everybody, time is money. Time is everything, right? Time is the number one resource we have, right? And I tell you what, you get curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. You can get the super deal with Game Time. You can look at all the seat views before you buy, like just literally, hey, it's going to look like right here. If I go this way, it's panoramic, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? And then you get the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. In this world that we live in right now, you get the all-in pricing, all those things with Game Time. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Dolphins? They don't know. I'll tell you. It's Game Time on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And the Dolphins making it hard right now, man. The expectations coming into the season were so high. Everything was looking so good. And then bang, just injuries. And they don't play anybody during the preseason. And I'm going to talk about that more in just a second. 31-12. I swear it just is very difficult right now to look at this Miami Dolphins team and watch them play. It's just absolutely terrible to see what they're going through. And their offensive line has been really bad all year. They have not protected anybody who's played back there. And look, there weren't a ton of sacks tonight, but it was coverage was good. It was a lot of hits. The intentional grounding was on a rush throw to get it out of there. I mean, Huntley, 13 of 21 for 92 yards. What are they running, the wing T? What is this, high school football? 92 yards through the air, 13 completions for 92 yards. Let that sink in. 13 completions for 92 yards. They threw the ball 21 times. And how about Huntley? He's their leading rusher. 8 carries for 40 yards. He got the touchdown. 8 carries for 40 yards. Jalen Wright, 9 for 32. Tyreek Hill, 3 for 19. Achane, 10 carries, 15 yards. His longest run of the night was 5 yards. This is the worst run defense in the league. One of them, Tennessee. Miami's worse, I think, at this point. Receiving wise, Waddle 4 for 36, Hill 4 for 23. In 3 weeks now, what do they have? Less each combined right now, they're less than 200 yards over the last 3 weeks. What's going on? What is going on here, Miami? Huntley lost the fumble, had the intentional grounding. Look, the defense played reasonably decent again. You gave up 5 field goals. You can only start to give them a short field so many times, and turnovers and a safety and all kinds of crap going on. You know what I mean? I don't understand what's going on here. This is a very tough situation to be in, but I will say this for Miami and about Miami. In the preseason, and we were here every game, as we are every game with your Locked On Dolphins postcast, not to be confused with Locked On Dolphins, which is Kyle every day, and I'm sure he'll be doing a show, tomorrow, or he'll probably be here doing a show tomorrow. But what I'm saying is the Dolphins in this game and every game, and you've had no consistency at quarterback. Skylar got hurt last week. Obviously, the injuries at QB have been huge. And Tua's wasn't on the offensive line because it was in the open field, one-on-one. Hey, let's stick that head right into a safety. And no, So here's what I'll tell you, okay? The preseason came, the preseason went. No Tyreek Hill, no Waddle. Hey, these guys are superstars, big-time weapons. They don't need a preseason to be ready for the season. Mostert, Achane. It was Wilson and Wright playing most of the time. It was Thompson and White at quarterback. No reps. The first team offensive line hardly played at all preseason. Defense too. You need the preseason. This just in. Who are we to think that they're that good? They don't need the preseason. They didn't have the reps. By the time the regular season started, you had the Jacksonville game. A little bit of fool's gold. Nick Saban said it on game day this weekend, and I know it's college football, and I hate to bring up Nick Saban, former Dolphins coach Nick Saban, who left for Alabama. Another part of that miserable stretch since Don Shula left. I believe it's the curse of Don Shula. It has to be. It has to be the curse of Don Shula, because after that Jacksonville game when Jimmy left and Marino, it just was never the same after Don Shula. And then that whole Jimmy Johnson era just imploded. Everything fell apart. And since then, it's been one after the other. It's just been a joke. It's been a disaster for Miami. So all in all, man, you're not good enough to not play your players in the preseason. Hill hardly played, and he didn't play. And Waddle, and you just didn't have any continuity. You didn't develop anything at all. Tua played a tiny bit in game 2. 1 drive, 1 touchdown. Hey, we're good. No problem. Yeah, we just walk out there anywhere we want and score anytime we want. No, that's not the way it works, man. They didn't have the reps. They didn't have that consistency together. And they still haven't had it. They have not had it since the day they got to the facility and started training camp. This team has not been together. Injuries, not playing in the preseason. And then the fool's gold. Nick Saban said it. Back to Saban. Back to Saban. Worst thing you can do is win a game that you played poorly in. Why? It's fool's gold. Jacksonville, first game of the year. ATN's running in for the score. It's already 17-7, about to be 24-7. Bang, Javon Holland pops it out. They win that game. Opening day, Tyreek gets arrested, all that. It ended up, you're feeling great leaving that stadium. You're thinking Jacksonville's a playoff contender. Everybody had the Jags looking like a playoff team. Jacksonville's 0-4. Jacksonville stinks. ATN gave the Dolphins that game with that fumble. This is an 0-4 team. You're an 0-4 team, Miami. You're an 0-4 team with a 1-3 record, right? You got a gift in the game you won. Answer me this. Did you ever in a million years think you'd be here right now at the start of the season? Did you ever in a million years think you'd be right now as you're dreaming? Sitting in the crib dreaming, Aaliyah Jepsen Coops. I can't even sing. I'm so exhausted. I'm a trip up to the Northeast visiting my family. But I'll tell you this, Dolphins will be here next week to play the Patriots. I'm an hour and a half away from Foxborough. You know what I'm saying? So I just can't even believe we're here. With all the deals they did in the offseason, all that money, everybody's so worried about the defense. I feel like the defense has been the best unit on the team this year. Just tough, man. Just really tough to watch this game. The running game went absolutely nowhere. I mean, just absolutely abysmal. 3 in the second, 3 in the third, 6 in the fourth for Miami. Tennessee, 9 in the second, 10 in the third, 12 in the fourth. You just got to work again on your home field. I already gave you the numbers. Defense was pretty good tonight. Jordan Brooks, Anthony Walker Jr., Agba with a good game. Calais playing well. And, I mean, they're not getting pressure. I mean, you can't sack Will Levis. You know what I mean? You can't sack Will Levis. I don't know. I mean, how are they? And you can't sack Mason Rudolph, who's 9 of 17 for 85 yards. I mean, have you ever seen an NFL game with worse quarterback play? They didn't throw the pick, so maybe not. But Mason Rudolph, 9 for 17, 85 yards. Will Levis, 3 for 425. Tyler Huntley, 13 for 21, 92 yards. Look, neither team did anything offensively, especially passing the ball. Tony Pollard, 88 yards. Tyjae Spears, 39 yards on the ground. 40 carries, 142 yards for, remember, the Titans tonight. Just a bad game all the way across the board for Miami. All the way across the board. The defense held strong, hung tough as long as they could, and then in the end, it just didn't work out. You're watching your Locked On Dolphins postcast. Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We're here after every Dolphins game. We're here after every Canes game. We're here after every Marlins game. Season just ended yesterday. And, of course, the Heat coming up after that. Wrapping it up on the other side. Going to give you some of the numbers. Team stats wise, I don't know if you even want to see or hear those. Our player of the game, our turning point, and our final score graphic, as well as a look ahead, 3 straight games on the road, starting with the the Patriots next week. Buckle up, Miami. It's going to be a long season. The one thing I hope is that Tua doesn't think he has to come back, and then, oh boy, that could get real ugly real quick. You're watching Locked On Dolphins postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Going to wrap it up on the other side. This night can't end soon enough, I'm sure, for you, Phins fan. It has been brutal from start to finish. And when we wrap it up on the other side, we'll look at those 3 games on the road ahead. Another injury. Phillips was back in the locker room. Again, the weapons are nowhere to be found. They're not getting the ball. And the Dolphins offense has been absolutely offensive. Say it like Canadian. Offensive, eh? We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Locked On Dolphins postcast and the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And I get to tell you about my boys and girls at FanDuel, man. I love FanDuel. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd for FanDuel. And I'll tell you what, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets, which is FanDuel. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. There you have it. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease on the Locked On Podcast Network. And it's just tough right now. It is very difficult right now as a Miami Dolphins fan. I mean, you are absolutely in no man's land, and we're going to look at the standings momentarily. And I just can't even begin to describe the feeling that I have when I watch this team. Like the offense, I don't care. Like I said 100 times, I don't care who your quarterback is. And he made a couple of good throws over the middle. You got to call the right plays. You got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. This offense is bland. It's vanilla. There's no creativity. I don't care what you have or who you have at quarterback. You have to be able to complete some passes in the NFL. You have to be able to get the ball down. You have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Stop it. Stop trying to tell me you can't get the ball down the field. Stop trying to tell me it's just because of your quarterback. Stop trying to tell me that. The offense was terrible with Tua in week 1. Terrible. The ATN turnover gifted them, and they hit the 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek. It was terrible. Awful. Buffalo comes in and dominates you. Buffalo got smoked by Baltimore in Baltimore last night. They came in and dominated you. You're up 31-10, down 31-10. Buffalo's up 31-10 when Tua got the concussion. He's doing anything he can to fire up a listless offense with no energy, with no nothing. Where is the grit? Where's the toughness? Where is that tenacity up front from this team? Where is it? Where is it? They don't even look like they want to be out there. They really don't. They just don't. Do they look like they want to be out there to you? Do they look like they even want to play this game to you right now? No. No, they don't. No. It is absolutely pathetic right now to see what this team is doing up front. You should be humiliated if you're a Miami Dolphins offensive lineman right now. I'm not even going to mention these guys by name. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve it, man. I mean, Tyler Huntley, 8 for 40, running for his life. Jalen Wright, 9 for 32. How about Achane? 10 for 15 yards, man. One of them was 5 yards. That means he had 9 carries for 10 yards minus the 5-yard run. It gets worse. It just gets worse the deeper you go. The more you analyze it, the worse it gets. What is going on with these guys up front? What is going on right now with these guys up front? It is literally unbelievable, unfathomable to think you could be this bad. In back-to-back weeks against Seattle, on the road, everybody's like, oh, it's the 12th man. It's the crowd. They don't have a quarterback. No. You got beat by Mason Rudolph. You're playing Tyler Huntley. They're playing Mason Rudolph. That's a wash. Mason Rudolph is not good. Will Levis is injured in this game. 7 scoring drives led by Mason Rudolph. And Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley can't do something? You got Tyreek Hill, man. You got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. 85 yards Rudolph threw for. 9 of 17. Nick Folk, 53, 52, 47, 51, and 29-yard field goals. Jason Sanders, a couple of field goals for Miami. Spears and Pollard score. Pretty good running game for Tennessee. Huntley signing from the Baltimore Ravens practice squad on September 17th. 96 passing yards, ran for a touchdown, 40 on the ground. And everybody wants to put it all on Tua being out. No, do not let anybody tell you that tomorrow. When you're at work and you're at that water cooler, wherever you are, you're with your friends, you're at the gym, you're on the beach, wherever you are, do not let anybody tell you this is because Tua's out. Because it's not. It is not because Tua's out. It's because their offensive line has been terrible this year. They're going to get people killed. And there's no tenacity. Where's the pride from that unit? Where is it? I don't care about injuries. It's the NFL. I don't care. High school football, yeah, one big injury devastates a team. College, yes, a little bit less. Yes, you can have devastating injuries in college. Yeah, Cam Ward gets hurt. The Miami Hurricanes are in big trouble, of course. This is the NFL. These are the best players on the planet. There's only so many jobs. There's 100 quarterbacks in the world playing in the NFL. You can't find one better than this dude or the guy you had before. No, don't blame the quarterback. That's what I'm saying. Don't blame the quarterback. The scheme is not producing results. People aren't getting open. When they are, they're not getting the ball, and the offensive line's not blocking. Do not blame this on the quarterbacks, and do not put it on Tua being out. Do not do it. That's why he got the concussion, because he knew this. He knew they were underperforming. All that money on Tua, all that money on Tyreek, all that money on Waddle, all these offensive players making bank, all those speed demons everywhere. We thought coming into the season it was going to be so much different. This is not because of Tua. It is not because of Tua, okay? It's not. And we don't even know if he's going to come back. At least we don't need to tank on purpose. Yeah, I mean, Mike McDaniel, undisciplined. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of discipline. How many illegal shift penalties are you going to get in one game? This is an illegal shift. This is the NFL. You're getting an illegal shift penalty in the NFL? That happens in prepubescent schoolyard football. Tyreek Hill held under 50 yards receiving for the 3rd straight game, yo. I mean, Hopkins didn't do anything for Tennessee. Can you imagine all these quarterbacks out there who would kill to have Tyreek Hill, who would kill to have DeAndre Hopkins? Hopkins might end up in Baltimore. Hopkins might end up in Kansas City with the injury to Rashee Rice now. Backward pass to Hill went off his fingertips. It was originally ruled incomplete, ends up being a fumble. And how about like the sequence at the end of the first half? Miami gets the ball after forcing a punt, about a minute left in the half. Calais Campbell gets a hand on the ball. Duke Riley tries to grab the bouncing punt. He loses it in a scrum, and then they say Tennessee touched the ball first. They give the Dolphins possession. Did nothing with it. Bad snap. Huntley can't field it. Rudolph leads them into field goal. The crowd's booing. National TV, Monday Night Football. The Dolphins have not led a game at all this season. You're going to put that all on Tua being out? Get out of here. Miss me with that. I want to see this press conference. Come on. Come on. This is not because Tua's out. It's because they are not being prepared to play the way they should. The offensive line has no grit, no fire, nothing up front. This is one of those games where you should be embarrassed when you're in that locker room tonight after this one. All that beautiful, I love you, man. I love you too. I want them to know how much I love them. I want everybody to know how much I love them. That's all great when you're winning. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to go, scorched earth on Mike McDaniel by any means. Been a tough go for him, but they haven't led in a game all season. Their only win was a walk-off field goal by Jason Sanders. Jeff Wilson Jr. injured his knee in pregame warmups. The running back. Jalen Phillips, knee injury, didn't return, left in the third quarter. Torn Achilles last season. Hit the turf a bunch of times before he threw his helmet. Titans have a bye next week. The Dolphins are at the Patriots next week. I mean, I can never stop saying that, man. You know what I'm saying? But at least they won. The Dolphins have not won in forever. 70s, man. Marino went to a Super Bowl in the 80s. A once great franchise, a once proud franchise. Don Shula's got to be rolling over in his grave right now. But, I mean, he saw this for enough years while he was still here, right? He saw this for enough years while he was still here. All right, we got to get out of here. We got to wrap up the show real quick, and I want to get to this. And look, it's very difficult to pick stars of the game. The team stats are just pathetic. Real quick, I want to get to that. 16-13 first downs. Look, 2 for 12 on third down, 1 for 3 on fourth down. They ran 54 plays for 184 total yards, 3.4 yards per play, 78 yards passing, 2 sacks, although he was running for his life all night, 106 yards rushing. Penalties, 10 for 98, terrible. Turnovers, fumble, lost by Huntley, had the intentional grounding out of the end zone as well for the safety. Time of possession, 10 minutes plus for Tennessee. Just an awful, awful performance by your Miami Dolphins. Before we get out of here, we're going to give you the star of the game, the turning point, and, of course, the final score real quick. The first things first for the moment of the game. Here was the turning point, and it was in the third quarter. There hadn't been a touchdown scored yet until Tony Pollard took it 41 yards to the 7-yard line for Tennessee, and he set up their only score of the night, which, of course, you know who that was. That touchdown run out of the Wildcat. After the 41-yard run by Pollard, they run it out of the Wildcat with Tyjae Spears. And you got, right, he's a decent player. Pretty good. So that was the moment. These are the moments. And then number 2 for you here would be the star of the game. You know things are going poorly when, if I started a sentence like this, as an NFL fan, you know you're effed when ... Your kicker is the star of the game. Jason Sanders, 2 field goals, a couple of long ones again tonight. At least he came to play. Nobody else did. Well, some of the guys on defense did. That's not fair to say. And then there we go. I know this is going to suck. Yeah, baby. Where'd the score go? That's like it just erased itself. 31-12. Remember the Titans. What an awful night, Miami. What an awful night. Every single offensive lineman should bury his head in shame. Every single one of them. Dolphins looked great with a new QB. You got beat by Mason Rudolph. Might as well have been Mason Beth. Oh, boy. What are you going to do? Tua's out. It is what it is. You got Huntley. I will say this. If you're looking for positives, and I'm really the king of the rose-colored glasses, I should be wearing them right now. But when you think about the future and you think about Huntley, he is capable of getting the ball down the field. You could see some action there on the 3-step, 5-step drops. You could see those middle crossing routes. He's going to be able to hit those. I think he'll be all right for the New England game. The Patriots stink. They absolutely stink. You're going to New England. You're going to Indy. Richardson's out right now. I don't know how serious that is. Then you got the Cardinals at home before you go to Buffalo. These are 3 winnable games. These are 3 winnable games. 2 of them are on the road. 3 out of 4. 4 out of 5 on the road. So the Cardinals game is at home. 10 a.m. on the 27th. And 1 p.m., I'm sorry, on the 27th. Rams, Raiders, Patriots again. Look, there's not a lot of terrible, just unwinnable games coming up. So get things going a little bit. Another week of practice for Huntley. I like some of what I saw from him tonight. But this offensive line, man, and I probably should be careful with what I say about the offensive line. I mean, it starts up front, right? It really does start up front. And they have been beaten like a drum consistently all season. Jordan Poyer went out tonight. Jalen Phillips went out tonight. Jeff Wilson hurt himself in warmups. David Long was out. Thompson, of course, was out. Raheem Mostert out again. And, it just keeps happening. Odell Beckham Jr. He's supposed to have his 21-day practice window open this week. Out still. Bradley Chubb out. Tua's out. McMorris is out. I could go on and on and on, but that offensive line, man, when you talk about that offensive line right now, this is embarrassing. These guys, and I'm going to say it right now to close the show, Reek's not getting the ball. 3 weeks in a row under 50 yards receiving for Tyreek Hill. Come on. Offensive linemen have got to pick things up. They got to really they need to question their own manhood. They need to dig deep and figure something out because they've been terrible. You know what I mean? And Armstead's had injuries, and Robert Jones and Brewer and Eichenberg and Austin Jack. And no. How soon till you put Patrick Paul, get him more playing? I don't know. But I do know this. We're way over, and it's time to end the show. But I'll say this, 31-12 Tennessee. Not much to take from this one, positive-wise. The kicker's your player of the game. Defense hung in for a while, held them to 5 field goals. Can you imagine how bad this would be if those field goals had been touchdowns? You're looking at a 50-point game for Tennessee. If there's a positive, you held them to 5 field goals, although 3 of them were over 50 yards and one was up in the 40s. But you held them to 5 field goals. Huntley showed some flashes with the feet. I think he's going to be okay, serviceable. You don't know what's going to happen with Tua. If not, Tom Brady lives down the street. And Greg Olsen, shout out to the U, undefeated. We always bring it back to the University of Miami. Greg Olsen will be happy because G-Reg will get his job back if Brady comes and plays. That's all there is, Fin fans. There is to turn it over in his grave. The Mad Dog Jim Mandich doing that too right now as we continue with your Locked On Dolphins postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Want to thank you for being here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Dolphins postcast your first listen, your first watch today. Now, for your second one, go find Locked On NFL now with 2 shows every day. First, the Madman, Tyler Rowland, kicks off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso, and then stop the barbershop with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. 31-12 Tennessee, a whole mess of ugly for the Miami Dolphins tonight. They're 1-3 on the season, and they might be the worst team in football right now. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Fin fans. We'll see you next week when the Dolphins head to New England to take on the Patriots. 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. Right after that with the postcast, Kyle Krabs all week, Locked On Dolphins. And don't forget, Alex Donald, Locked On Canes, and myself with the postcast. It's all about the U. Canes 5-0. They play Cal on Saturday, and we will be here right after that game with your Locked On Canes postcast. Dolphins on Sunday after the Patriots, and we got the hookup. Holla if you hear us. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Thanks for being here, Fins fans. We'll talk to you next time on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single miserable, rotten day so far.